What if I told you that there are 6 types of exercises that are guaranteed to either improve your speed, your power, or your strength, and they are not the typical weight room exercise that you perform at the 3x12 rep and set range? I'm sure you're dying to find these out, so without further ado, let's get right into the first exercise category, which happens to be my favorite one as well, plyometrics. For all of you that don't know from our other videos, plyometrics are exercises that utilize the stretch shortening cycle, where the muscles involved in the movement are rapidly lengthening and shortening, with a really short mid-phase called the amortization phase. Some examples include pogo hops, counter movement jumps, alternating bounce, and trap bar jumps. But there are literally all sorts of plyometrics based on the desired adaptations you're after. Ultimately though, plyometrics are meant for power development, aka your ability to produce force fast. Some plyometrics, like loaded plyometrics or plyos with longer ground contact times, are more force-based, while other variations, such as band-assisted or short ground contact time ones, are more velocity-based. The key thing to remember though is that plyometric actions mimic the actions that happen on the field. Footballers are constantly using the stretch shortening cycle because they are required to produce force fast. By using plyometric training, you're basically optimizing the function of the stretch shortening cycle, and you're becoming a more energy efficient and powerful footballer. If you would like to learn more about plyometrics and how you can use them as a footballer, then check out the description and watch our video on them. Next up we have ballistics. Now ballistics are really similar to plyometrics, but they have certain distinct differences. In contrast to plyometrics, ballistic exercises refer to an athlete's body or an external object being projected into a flight phase with power. The main difference with plyos is that during ballistic exercises, the muscles involved either don't go through the eccentric, aka lengthening phase at all, or the eccentric loading is minimal. Some examples include box jumps, broad jumps on a hill, or any kind of medicine ball throw you can think of. Similar to plyometrics, they are a superb tool for power development. The ability to load these exercises more makes them especially great for improving your rate of force development, aka producing really high amounts of force in a short time frame. A tool you definitely want in your toolbox, but also a tool that you need to be careful with. Now another tool that's worth a special spot in your toolbox is heavy weightlifting. As we've analyzed in our previous video about strength training for football, heavy lifting is great for max strength development. And because force development is A, one of the lowest hanging fruits for most footballers, and B, the base for power and velocity, it really is something that can drive great results not only for your max strength but your speed and power overall. Movement complexity is also pretty low in most cases in comparison to other exercises like multidirectional plyos or ballistics, so that's definitely a plus. Here at FootXFit, we use all sorts of compound lifts with our athletes year-round. Most of the time, we are loading these exercises with heavy weights and make small modifications based on the time of the season they're in, and the results have been great. Such an underrated tool that many players are missing out on. Please stop thinking that 3 sets of 12 reps is the solution that will optimize your performance and start opening your eyes up to a wider range of tools and principles. Speaking of which, you can also start lifting for velocity, aka using a lower external resistance in various lifts, but lifting with maximal intent. What I basically mean by that is that a lighter weight will allow you to lift faster and therefore stress that mid-range of the force velocity curve between power and velocity. For example, you can load the barbell with 30% of your back squat 1 rep max and perform speed squats for 5 sets of 2 repetitions. Similar to plyometrics and ballistics, lightweight lifting at higher velocities is a great tool for power development, especially velocity-based power. You can use this type of lifting year-round based on the time of the season and the training week you're in, and the good thing about it is that it can be used anywhere, both with simple compound lifts and with more complex exercises like Olympic lifts. Next up, we have sprinting. No matter what my players need more of, sprinting is a staple in all of our training blocks. The velocity demands in modern football are insane, with players like Mbappe, Haaland, and Van Dijk reaching top speeds of up to 36 km per hour. So in order to get my players closer to that elite standard, we like to use the most effective stimulus there is out there for speed development, aka sprinting. Apart from performance optimization though, we also use it as a tool to decrease the risk of injury, especially hamstring tears, which are the most common injury in pro football. There are a lot of ways you can use sprints to develop speed, but in particular, we like to play with the sprint distances and use top velocity sprinting as well as resisted or assisted sprinting variations to make some serious gains speed-wise, especially in a linear motion. But because football isn't linear, we also like to couple linear sprinting with cuts and turns to meet the demands of the sport. This is something we do more of during the off-season when my players are away from team practice, and avoid using multi-directional speed drills during the season when players are getting a ton of exposure to this stimulus already. So what type of sprinting drills you use ultimately comes down to the adaptations you desire from your training block, as well as the exposure you get to each stimulus during that specific time of the season. We know as a fact that during the season, top velocity exposure is drastically lower compared to accelerations, decelerations, cuts, and turns, so this is something that can guide the training process. Then, we also have ISOMETRICS, an underutilized tool mainly popular in the rehab world that starts gaining popularity in the performance world as well. Essentially, isometrics are muscle contractions where the muscles involved don't noticeably change length and the joints involved are at a fixed angle. The reason plyometrics aren't that popular is that they aren't really mimicking the actions happening on the field nor the velocity at which they are executed. This makes them a less appealing type of exercise, but if you know how to use them, they can literally be a game changer, both for your performance and your health. Performance-wise, isometric training can do two things. Number one, maintain or increase your max strength, aka the most amount of force you can produce. And number two, increase your rate of force development, aka your ability to produce really high amounts of force relatively fast. These two adaptations require a different training stimulus. On one hand, you can use yielding isometrics to build general strength. For those of you that don't know, a yielding isometric is when you hold your body or an external object at a certain position for a predefined time. This includes exercises like the plank, side lunge iso holds, and wall sits. Yielding isos are great for developing strength at specific muscle length and joint angles, making them a really helpful tool for performance optimization, injury risk management, as well as rehab. On the other hand, you have overcoming isometrics, where you are pushing or pulling an immovable object with maximal intent. This is a great way to recruit as many motor units as possible to build both your max strength, but more so your rate of force development. Now we could go on about isometrics for a lot more, but I want you to keep two things in mind. Number one, use isometrics to address weak spots of your body or previously injured areas. The fact that you can target specific muscle length and joint angles makes isometrics a safe and efficient way to build resilience, and on top of that, their analgesic effect can help you manage pain effectively. And number two, start viewing isometrics as a tool for power, speed, and strength development. The possibilities are literally endless. You just gotta be smart about using them inside your training. Now I know this might be a bit too much information for you to digest, so I would definitely suggest going over the info twice and taking some notes if you really want to make your training smarter. However, if you would like to leave all the guesswork to the side and start taking action, then consider working with us. Either click the link in the description to check out the coaching services we offer and apply for a coaching spot, or DM us Level Up and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Have a good one, guys.